Coming up next on TV8 News, at least 8 people are dead tonight after a shooting spree at a San Francisco law firm.
And West Monroe residents voiced their concerns about a proposed site of a Walmart supercenter.
Thanks for watching KNOE TV-8, Monroe, West Monroe.
Live from the television news center of the Ark-la-Miss, Judy Wagoner and Larry Roberts with news. Meteorologist Suzanne Sill with weather. And Ron Sanner with sports. This is the TV8 Late Report, your #1 choice for news.
Good evening, I'm Judy Wagoner.
And I'm Larry Roberts. In the news tonight, West Monroe residents voiced their concerns about a proposed site of a Walmart supercenter.
For nearly an hour, about 30 residents met with West Monroe Mayor Dave Norris behind closed doors at the Chamber of Commerce office. Residents who live in the Parkwood subdivision off Thomas Road say they wanted to meet with Mayor Norris to discuss the proposed Walmart supercenter development and the impact it would have if built near their neighborhood.
But that's my main concern is, will my house, what the impact of building Walmart there would have with our houses flooding again.
My concern is the flooding, the traffic down Parkwood, Crosley, and the intersection of Glenwood Drive, the nursing home there, and the quality of the air if they cut down more trees.
I'm sure it would, have a positive impact. A lot of people are very excited about having a Walmart superstore, but we certainly don't want to build a Walmart superstore or any kind of development that creates an undue hardship on some of the people close by.
Norris says the city is waiting on traffic and drainage impact studies from Walmart, which will be evaluated before a decision is made. Meanwhile, residents say they don't mind the supercenter being built in West Monroe. They just don't want it in their backyards.
While most Americans wait to see if there will be an increase in their taxes, Louisiana residents are already feeling the effects of a hike. The legislature's temporary suspension of the final penny in sales tax exemptions went into effect today. Now, that means Louisianans must pay 1% more on food and utilities. Some area grocery shoppers were not aware of the tax increase, which is aimed at putting the state in better financial postures. But those who were aware had mixed reactions.
No surprise, really. Taxes, everybody's raising them.
I'm willing to do that if it'll help the state recover, but I have my doubts, very serious doubts about it. So, I don't mind the tax if it really would do what they say.
The wages stay the same and the taxes keep going up, but what are we to do? Except grumble about it. That's about all.
In addition to food, the tax hike also applies to gas, water, and electricity.
Recent shakeups at Grambling State University have students questioning administrators' judgment. School Public Relations Director Ernie Miles and Media Center Director Jay Penny were recently removed from their posts. A group of communication students say attempts by them and Penny to obtain a reason for the move have been unsuccessful. Today they held a news conference to voice their concerns. Chris Duvall says it's part of restructuring due to recent budget cuts. But students want more information about decisions that affect their education.
Put a little pressure on them to at least let us know why. Because if they have true justification for Mr. Penny being dismissed, then all we can do is continue on with our educations here. But right now, without Mr. Penny and without even knowing why he's gone, we just don't feel that we have any type of rights at all.
Penny could not be reached for comment. Some startling news tonight about education in Louisiana.
The Louisiana Association of Educators, the state's largest teachers union, has released a survey that reflects the attitudes of new teachers, those who have been teaching for about 2 years. As TV8's Brian Henry reports, the results are not very flattering.
More than 400 new teachers in 52 parishes say the #1 problem in the classroom today is the lack of student motivation and achievement. One educator says, "We all deserve the blame."
You have societal issues. You have life itself. You have support or non-support from local legislators.
The #2 problem listed in the survey is low pay, followed by discipline problems and lack of parental support for teachers.
It is already very difficult to recruit the brightest and best into the profession, and these results point to the fact that our ability to retain them is going to be an even greater task.
Singleton says this is nothing new to most people, but this is the first time the state's largest teachers union has conducted the survey. The results have gone to the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education. The group is counting on Bessie to solve, if not all, most of the problems listed in the survey.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know, we can pass the buck to anybody, but who's held accountable? We're trying every route we possibly can.
30% of the teachers who responded to the survey say they are thinking about quitting their profession. Many already have. Connie Como left the travel industry 7 years ago to go into teaching.
And I have thought about quitting, but I think most of the teachers who stay with it do it because we have a love of children.
So far, there's been no official response from the Bessie Board on the results, but the board is planning a retreat in August to discuss the very same problems in the survey. Educators say that retreat can't come soon enough. Brian Henry, TV8 News.
Well, smokers beware. Monroe City schools and facilities are now completely smoke-free environments. The new policy went into effect today and bans any kind of smoking inside school buildings. The rule change brings the system into line with the rest of the state. It was first suggested last November by a school board member. So, from now on, smokers can no longer light up inside school system buildings.
Facility. We have an outside area, kind of like a patio adjacent to this building where people can go, particularly in the spring and summer and fall. In the winter, it'll be mighty cold, but if a person wants to smoke, they'll have to leave the building to do so.
Now, schools in the system will also designate some areas outside those buildings for smokers.
The budget votes by Louisiana's 2 Democratic senators have apparently cost them some popularity votes in a recent TV8 News Star poll. Senators J. Bennett Johnston and John Breaux were the focus of the survey. Of the 800 registered voters polled, most also opposed both proposed energy taxes. Senator Johnston's performance is rated as good or excellent among 41%. That's down from Johnston's 50% approval rating last fall. Senator John Breaux did slightly better. 49% say Breaux's performance has been acceptable. However, 16% gave Breaux a poor rating. An overwhelming 76% of Bayou State voters opposed President Clinton's energy tax proposal, which has been approved by the House. 48% are against an alternate fuel tax. Only 38% said the fuel tax alternative suggested by Senator Breaux was okay. The survey conducted earlier this week by Mason-Dixon Political Research has a margin of error of plus or minus 3.5%.
Well, a Monroe man is convicted of manslaughter in last year's shooting death of 33-year-old Monroe man. A 4th District Court jury deliberated a little over 2 hours tonight before convicting 20-year-old Marlo Hines in the death of Marlon Manyweather. Hines was charged with second-degree murder in Manyweather's death, but the jury convicted him of the lesser charge. Chief Criminal Prosecutor Chuck Cook says that conviction is better than no conviction at all. Manyweather was shot and killed outside an East Monroe apartment complex last June. Hines will be sentenced in August. He's facing up to 21 years in prison.
Still to come this evening, San Francisco authorities bust the largest LSD distribution ring ever in the United States.
And a shooting spree in San Francisco leaves at least 8 people dead. Now here's a story that's just unfolding in California tonight. A shooting spree at a San Francisco office building has left at least 8 people dead, including the gunman, and several others wounded. A report now from Bill Alicatuga.
The dead and wounded were rushed from the San Francisco office tower late today, while police sealed off the building looking for the man with the gun. According to witnesses, he opened fire in a law office on the 34th floor of the high-rise.
What I heard was that he was in this deposition and then he left the deposition and came back.
The attacker then moved down the building floor by floor, firing what appeared to be an automatic or semi-automatic weapon. Several of his victims were found in stairwells. A loudspeaker warned the other tenants to stay inside their offices.
We were in the bathroom when it happened, and we heard the smoke and fire alarm go off, and walked out of thought it was a fire alarm. We're going to go grab our purses, and then saw the bullet holes in the glass wall of the conference room. All I saw was a bullet-ridden conference room windows, lots of bullet holes, and then I ran.
Then the body of the gunman was found. He had apparently killed himself. What his motive was is still unknown, though he may have been involved in a lawsuit being handled by the legal firm where the shooting began. Bill Alicatuga, CBS News, Los Angeles.
In San Francisco, authorities say they busted the largest LSD distribution ring ever in the United States. Officials today displayed baby food jars and other items used to carry and sell the mind-altering drug. 2 men and 2 women were arrested this week on federal charges. A 5th suspect remains at large. Weapons and cash were also seized in the raid. Officials say the drug ring was making profits of up to $60 million a year. Over a 4-year period, undercover agents seized 1.5 million doses of the drug.
Well, researchers in New York report that a drug that proved to be a colossal disaster 30 years ago may now be useful in treating AIDS. CNN's Tom Watkins reports.
More than 30 years ago, one of the saddest chapters in medicine unfolded. Thalidomide, a drug that eased the symptoms of morning sickness, also caused thousands of birth defects. Now it may have found new life. Interest in thalidomide has revived with the report that it slows replication of the AIDS virus in the test tube.
This is potentially a means of reducing HIV-1 activation, reducing the number of virus particles produced in the body, therefore reducing the number of new blood cells, immune cells that are infected, and slowing down the progression of the disease.
Kaplan reports that thalidomide also slows production of a protein that leads to weight loss, fever, diarrhea, and night sweats, common among AIDS patients. The protein is called tumor necrosis factor, or TNF-alpha. Early trials now suggest that what happens in the lab also happens in AIDS patients.
We have fairly clear indications that TNF-alpha mediated toxicities such as wasting and muscle pain and the discomfort associated with the infection are alleviated when patients are treated with thalidomide.
Some patients report they got their appetites back, gained weight, and felt better. AIDS advocates are encouraged.
Essentially, we've wasted a lot of time trying to stop disease progression with drugs that really don't do that very well. And what's interesting about this most recent report is that we're looking at new forms of HIV treatment.
The results are based on findings from just a few patients. The U.S. government's top AIDS researcher has been down this road before, but this time he's optimistic that things may be different.
This has an advantage that some of the other studies don't, and that advantage is that as opposed to just guessing that something might work, the rationale for why it should work is clearly there.
Though thalidomide was never approved in the U.S., it is available in other countries. And the same work that led to the finding that thalidomide can cause birth defects indicates the drug is otherwise safe. Tom Watkins, CNN Medical News.
The weather's so boring around here. Let's talk about the weather somewhere else.
That's right. Severe weather in Kansas remains hot around here, though.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Tonight's weather is brought to you by Harvest Foods.
This weekend, when you shop Harvest Foods, just say... Because this weekend, when you check out with MasterCard, we'll give you 5% off your total purchase price on the spot. But hurry, because 5% discount days are 3 days only. Get more out of shopping at Harvest Foods with MasterCard. Just say... The convenience of MasterCard. Another reason your money's worth more at Harvest Foods.
Some severe weather in Kansas tonight. Hopefully it won't make its way down here.
No, not that severe, and we'll give you the reasons why it will remain to the north and while we remain hot, too.
Okay.
Here are the numbers on the day. 93 the afternoon high. Officially, that's about 1 degree above where we should be to start off the month of July. The overnight low came in at 73, and that's just about right on time. At this hour, this still could be considered a hot night. 82 degrees at 10 p.m., 74% humidity. No wind of note, so we're having calm on the screen there. And barometer 29.99, and it's holding near steady. A check of aerial temperatures, and most everyone is in the lower 80s. The exception, for some reasons, Freeport and Lake Charles coming in at 79 degrees, but that being only a 3-degree difference, and you figure in the humidity is also just a bit higher as the temperature cools off. It's still quite a muggy night for a lot of the deep south, and it's reflected with this particular scan of temperatures here throughout Texas and Louisiana and the adjacent areas. Maybe some point of interest on the map you may want to take in there. Well, an area of high pressure continues to clear out the Gulf of Mexico with so much fair weather in place here. A stationary frontal boundary to the north is holding all weather systems that are the rain-making variety far to our northwest, sort of in the ring of fire position, as you can see here in Florida. Look at all this right around the edge of the area of high pressure. And specifically, you can see how these huge thunderstorms have blown up over the state of Kansas, some of these straddling back into sections of Nebraska and headed toward the state of Missouri. So, yeah, we'll show you as the night progresses. A closer view of home shows a strip of clouds here across Mississippi, but on comes the Skyscan radar to show us no rain under those cloud tops, and of course with no clouds it's a clear scan across Louisiana, and even northern Arkansas, which posted a scattered shower or two from earlier this evening, has cleared out, and things are all quiet here in the lower Mississippi Valley. Again, this area of high pressure rushes up to meet the stationary front. You see this area of low pressure here, and there is a reaction. If you can pick it out in there, areas of orange and red indicating huge thunderstorms above 50,000 feet, possible hail, high winds, and tornadoes for that particular area. Otherwise, scattered rains down the front and then diving south across the state of Florida, and an additional trough over western Texas. Second day in a row they've got rain in those particular areas. Tomorrow, not a lot changes. Here's the frontal position holding its particular position. High pressure in the Gulf, a few scattered showers for Florida. Hang on, it remains hot and humid around here. I know it's getting boring and very repetitive, but that's all we have to tell you, but at least you'll know what to expect. Our forecast for the remainder of the night, fair and warm. Eventually the overnight low to drop to near 73 to 75. Our temperature should be up around 80 till midnight, and after that slowly drop off through the wee hours of the morning, and right around dawn we'll hit that 73-degree mark. A light south wind is expected. Mostly sunny, hot days through Saturday with isolated afternoon showers possible, but again, our chance of rain is minimal, just about nil. The afternoon high, right around 93 on average. The overnight low should be somewhere in the lower 70s, south wind at around 10 to 15. And through the holiday, maybe a 20% chance of rain, but we're very familiar with these 90s and 70s as extremes, and really, we're just kind of in the doldrums here. Nothing's changed. Can I pre-record this and play it back tomorrow night?
Why not?
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Neal.
In just a minute, we'll show you a perfect shuttle landing. Stay with us.
Tonight's weather has been brought to you by Harvest Foods.
I remember those 4th of July picnics when I was a boy. The smell of ribs smoking, the taste of that icy Coca-Cola. Times have changed, but this 4th of July, Harvest Foods is bringing back the old-fashioned prices.
Like 87 cents a pound for meaty pork spare ribs in the 30-pound box, $2.37 for a 12-pack of Coke, 99 cents a pound for tender fryer breast, and 69 cents for bags of Ruffles potato chips.
You're going to love the change at Harvest Foods.
Well, the space shuttle Endeavour returned to Earth today after spending an extra 2 days in space, waiting for clear weather down in Florida. The 10-day mission to capture a European science satellite was successful. The satellite was deployed by another shuttle last August. It gathered 10 months of scientific data. NASA won't have much time down. It's scheduled a Discovery shuttle launch for July 17th. And look at that. Boy, I'll tell you, that's perfect after going around and around and around.
That is impressive.
And I have a hard time landing out here at Monroe.
Just have a hard time keeping my feet on the ground.
What's happening in sports tonight?
Take a look at the Atlanta Braves and what they're planning on doing against the Colorado Rockies when we return.
Well, you can't get much worse than the pitching staff in Colorado, right?
True, they served them up quite a bit. Watch and see. The good news is that Atlanta owns sole possession of second place in the NL West. The bad news is they're 8 games behind the Giants. Tonight, the Braves went for their 3rd victory in as many tries against a Rockies team whose pitching staff is made up of myself and some of my closest relatives. Nothing to the rest of the scores in the National League. Montreal downs Pittsburgh, St. Louis simply smokes Philadelphia, Florida over lowly New York, and Houston smacks it to the Reds 8-1. The Rangers are 5 games under 500, but only trail division-leading Chicago by 4 games in the AL West. Tonight, Texas was in Detroit to battle a Tigers team that has dropped their last 9. TV-8 Sonia Bales and Sharon Delaney wondering why the Detroit Lions are wearing baseball uniforms tonight. Scores in the American League have Seattle downing Minnesota 6-1. Chuck Finley, a loser today, as Oakland downs California, and Baltimore shuts out Chicago 1-0. While on the subject of the Rangers, it looks like slugger Jose Canseco's season could be over because of a torn ligament in his elbow. 24 hours ago, Wassman and Tulane standout Anthony Reed was glued to his television waiting to see where he would be drafted in the NBA. Well, all his questions were answered in the 2nd round as the Bulls picked him in hopes of bolstering their front court. Today, Reed, his family, and friends cooked out and relaxed after a tense night in any athlete's life. Tulane's all-time leading scorer feels that he...
I think everybody's doing this today was to be financially secure and take care of their family and play in the NBA. My first reactions were really, I just really sat there like, you know, it's over because the draft was a long and tedious process, and just knowing that all the work you've done for 4 years and down there at Tulane and here at Washington, I mean, it's finally paid off.
and we were back behind 100%. And like I say, it's just been a tough road. It's been tears shed, but this is the happy time now, and he really deserves it. And we're so very proud of him. I mean, we're just really proud of him.
Hope he sticks with Chicago. Here's the Louisiana Down results. Chanting Tudor, 1 paid $720, $320, and $220. The pick threes were 4, 4, 5, paid around $370. And that's a look at sports.
Hey, stay with us. We'll show you a new place to go over the 4th of July weekend.
Northeast Louisiana residents have a new place to spend their 4th of July holiday. Today marked the opening of the 654-acre Lake Darbonne State Park. For those who like to live off the land, there are 43 campsites complete with water and electrical hookups, and 20 more on the way. For those who want to have a leisurely lunch or family barbecue, there are nearly 50 picnic sites. And for fishing enthusiasts, there are 2 piers and a boat launch, as well as a station to clean their catches.
Well, that's it for us. Good night. See you tomorrow.
Good night.